Family should be your safest haven, the people who protect you at all costs. Growing up, my sister Amanda and I were thick as thieves despite our different personalities. When I met Sophia, I thought my world was complete. The joy of expecting our first child brought us closer as a family, or so I believed. But one cruel act disguised as a prank shattered everything I thought I knew about loyalty and blood ties. Before I dive into how my family betrayed my wife and unborn child, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had to choose between your birth family and the family you have built. Growing up in suburban Chicago, Amanda and I shared the typical sibling dynamic with a twist. 3 years my junior, she was the spirited firecracker to my steady flame. As the big brother, I took my role seriously, defending her from neighborhood bullies and helping her navigate school challenges. I remember teaching her to ride a bike on our tree-lined street, holding the handlebars, until she found her balance, her laughter echoing as she pedaled away on her own for the first time. Our personalities diverged early on. While I gravitated toward responsibility, saving my allowance and planning meticulously for everything, Amanda embraced spontaneity and charm. She could talk her way out of almost any situation with her quick wit and winning smile. This difference might have complemented our relationship, except for one troubling pattern: our parents consistently enabled her worst behaviors. Frank and Diana, our parents, ran a successful local furniture business and provided well for us materially. But when it came to discipline, Amanda operated under a different set of rules. If I missed curfew, I was grounded. If Amanda came home 3 hours late, she was just being social. When I accidentally broke a window playing baseball, I worked all summer to pay for it. When Amanda crashed our dad's car joyriding with friends at 16, they replaced it within a week, no consequences. "That is just how she is" became the family mantra, a phrase that excused increasingly concerning behavior. I normalized this dynamic, believing it was typical family stuff. After all, they were good parents in many ways, supportive of my academic pursuits and career goals. I just had different expectations placed on me. College became my escape. At Northwestern, I studied accounting and built a life separate from the family dynamics. During my junior year, I met Sophia in an economics elective. She sat beside me on the first day, borrowing a pen and returning it with a note suggesting coffee. Intelligent, compassionate, and grounded, Sophia captivated me immediately. Her work as a pediatric nursing student revealed her natural caring instinct, something I had craved in relationships without realizing it. After 3 years of dating, I proposed under the stars at Lake Michigan, where we had our first kiss. The wedding planning should have been joyful, but it provided the first real glimpse of how Amanda would interact with my new life. As maid of honor, Amanda seemed determined to make the celebration about herself. She arrived late to dress fittings, suggested last-minute changes to arrangements, and during her speech spent more time talking about her own accomplishments than our relationship. When Sophia gently addressed these issues, Amanda dismissed her concerns as bridezilla behavior. My parents predictably sided with Amanda, suggesting Sophia was being overly sensitive. Despite these tensions, we married 2 years ago, in a beautiful lakeside ceremony. The early months of marriage were blissful as we settled into our new home, a modest 2-story house with a small yard perfect for the family we hoped to create. We had saved for years, living frugally and investing wisely, to afford the down payment without parental assistance, something I took particular pride in. After a year of marriage, we decided to try for a baby. The process took longer than expected, with months of disappointment before that magical positive test. Learning we were expecting a boy sent us into a flurry of preparation, converting the spare bedroom into a nursery, researching car seats, and attending parenting classes together. My parents seemed genuinely excited about becoming grandparents, hosting a small dinner to celebrate the news. However, Amanda's reaction was noticeably subdued. She congratulated us with a tight smile before quickly changing the subject to her recent promotion, which later turned out to be exaggerated. As Sophia's pregnancy progressed, so did Amanda's troubling behavior. Her history of pranks had always walked the line between humor and cruelty, but now they seemed increasingly targeted at Sophia. There was the time she jumped out from behind our car in the dark driveway, causing Sophia to stumble backward. The incident where she replaced the sugar with salt Just before Sophia baked cookies for her hospital colleagues. The accidental spilling of red wine on Sophia's favorite maternity dress at a family dinner. After each incident, Amanda would laugh it off. "Cannot you take a joke? Pregnancy has not killed your sense of humor, has it?" I confronted her privately after the wine incident. "These pranks need to stop, Amanda. It is not funny anymore." Her expression hardened momentarily, before melting into familiar innocence. "You used to have fun with me, Kale. Now it is all about Sophia and the baby. I barely recognize you anymore." That conversation should have been my warning. 2 weeks before the incident, Amanda went through a messy breakup with her boyfriend of 6 months. According to my parents, he ended things because she was too independent for him, but mutual friends hinted at her erratic behavior and possessiveness being the actual cause. With Amanda newly single and increasingly unpredictable, I should have been more cautious about the baby shower. Instead, I hoped the celebration would bring positive energy into our lives before the baby arrived. I could not have been more wrong. The morning of Sophia's baby shower dawned bright and clear, a perfect October Saturday. Sophia, 7 months pregnant with our son, practically glowed in a blue wrap dress that accentuated her beautiful baby bump. We had spent the previous evening arranging our home for the celebration, hanging blue streamers and placing tiny toy blocks as table centerpieces. "How are you feeling?" I asked, helping Sophia with her necklace as she finished getting ready. Like a beached whale, but a happy one, she laughed, leaning back against me as we looked in the mirror. "I cannot believe in just 2 months we will be holding our little boy." Guests began arriving around 11 in the morning, bringing gifts wrapped in blue and white paper. My parents arrived early to help my mother bustling around rearranging decorations, while my father set up additional chairs in the living room. Amanda arrived surprisingly on time, wearing a dress that seemed more appropriate for a nightclub than a baby shower. "Where is the mom to be?" she asked breezily, air kissing my cheek before handing me a small, hastily wrapped package. Throughout the early part of the celebration, Amanda was uncharacteristically helpful, offering to refill drinks and engaging pleasantly with Sophia's friends from work. In retrospect, this behavior should have raised my suspicions, but I was simply relieved to see her participating positively. The shower was in full swing by early afternoon. Sophia's college roommate was leading a baby-themed trivia game, while I circulated with a tray of mini quiches. The atmosphere was joyful, filled with laughter, and the excited chatter of friends and family celebrating new life. "I need to grab more napkins from upstairs," Sophia whispered to me, squeezing my arm before making her way toward the staircase. I was answering a question about the nursery colors when I heard it, a startled scream followed by the sickening thud of a body tumbling down wooden stairs. The room fell silent for a split second before erupting into chaos. I dropped the tray and ran toward the sound, my heart pounding in my ears. What I saw will haunt me forever. Sophia lay crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, her body twisted unnaturally, one arm bent at a wrong angle. Her face was contorted in pain, tears streaming down her cheeks as she clutched her pregnant belly with her uninjured arm. "The baby," she gasped. "Kale, the baby." Standing at the top of the stairs was Amanda, her hand covering her mouth, but not quite hiding the smile underneath. She started laughing, a high-pitched sound that cut through the shocked silence. "Gotcha." "I just startled her," she called down as if announcing the punchline to a hilarious joke. I did not think she would actually fall. Time seemed to fragment as I knelt beside Sophia. Her usually olive complexion had turned ashen, her breathing rapid and shallow. Someone was calling 911 in the background, while my mother repeatedly asked, "What happened? What happened? Do not move her." Sophia's friend, Julia, a nurse, instructed as she quickly assessed the situation. "Sophia, can you feel the baby moving?" Sophia nodded, weakly, tears streaming down her face. "Something's wrong with my arm, and my side hurts so bad." The paramedics arrived within minutes, though it felt like hours. As they stabilized Sophia's arm and carefully transferred her to a stretcher, I heard fragments of explanation from shocked guests. Amanda was hiding at the top of the stairs, jumped out at Sophia when she reached the landing. Definitely pushed her, I saw it from the dining room. Laughing the whole time Sophia was falling. The drive to the hospital behind the ambulance remains a blur in my memory. My father insisted on driving me, repeating that it was probably not as bad as it looked, that Amanda would never intentionally hurt anyone, that Sophia had likely just lost her balance. Each word fueled a growing rage I struggled to contain. At the emergency room, I paced the waiting area while Sophia underwent examination. The minutes crawled by, each one amplifying my fear and anger. After what seemed like eternity, Dr. Lamar, a calm-faced older man with kind eyes, approached me. "Mr. Johnson, your wife is stable. She has a fractured wrist, 3 bruised ribs and various contusions from the fall, and the baby," I could barely form the words. "We are monitoring the fetal heartbeat, which is currently stable. However, we are concerned about potential placental abruption which can occur with traumatic injuries during pregnancy. We will need to keep her overnight for observation, and may need to deliver early if we see any signs of fetal distress." Relief washed over me quickly, followed by renewed anger. This could have been so much worse, and it was entirely preventable. When I was finally allowed to see Sophia, she lay in a hospital bed connected to monitors, her wrist in a cast, her face tear-streaked but composed. A rhythmic beeping confirmed our son's heartbeat continued steadily. "She pushed me," Kale Sophia whispered as I gently held her uninjured hand. "It was not just a scare," she whispered, "oops," and then pushed me. I felt her hands on my back. Before I could respond, the door opened, and my parents walked in with Amanda trailing behind them. My mother immediately rushed to Sophia's bedside, cooing sympathetically, while my father stood awkwardly by the door. Amanda hung back, a calculated look of concern on her face that did not reach her eyes. "Oh, sweetie, what a terrible accident," my mother said, patting Sophia's hand. "Thank goodness you are both okay." "It was not an accident," I stated flatly, standing to face my family. Amanda pushed her down the stairs. Amanda's face transformed instantly into wounded innocence. "I did not push her. I just jumped out to surprise her. It was just a joke. I did not push her hard or anything." "You think scaring a heavily pregnant woman at the top of a staircase is a joke?" I felt my voice rising despite efforts to remain calm in the hospital setting. "Kale, lower your voice," my father warned. "Amanda would never intentionally hurt Sophia or the baby. You know how she is with her pranks. Poor judgment, yes, but not malicious." 3 of our guests saw her push Sophia, the first countered, and Sophia felt hands on her back. "She probably imagined it during the fall," my mother suggested dismissively. "Trauma can affect memory, you know." The conversation escalated quickly, with Amanda crying theatrical tears while insisting she was just trying to have fun, and my parents making excuses for her behavior. When Amanda had the audacity to say Sophia overreacted by falling, a hospital security guard appeared at the door asking us to continue our discussion elsewhere, as we were disturbing patients. As we moved to the waiting area, I finally said what had been building inside me for years. "This is exactly why she does these things. Because you two always defend her no matter what. She could have killed your grandchild today, and you are still making excuses." My father's face hardened. "Now you are being ridiculous. No one was trying to hurt anyone. It was a misunderstanding that got out of hand." "A misunderstanding," I echoed in disbelief. "My wife is lying in a hospital bed with broken bones, and our son might be in danger because your daughter thought it would be funny to push a pregnant woman down the stairs." "How exactly did I misunderstand that?" The hospital security guard returned, firmly suggesting my parents and sister leave the premises. As they walked away, Amanda turned back with a look I will never forget, not remorse, not concern, but annoyance, as if Sophia's injuries had somehow inconvenienced her. I returned to Sophia's room with a new clarity about my family that would shape everything that followed. The days after Sophia's hospitalization revealed the true depth of my family's dysfunction. Bringing her home was a careful process, navigating stairs with her injured wrist and bruised ribs, while ensuring she remained calm for the baby's sake. Each wince of pain, each careful movement, was a reminder of what could have been lost through Amanda's recklessness. 3 days after the incident, my college friend Tyler, now a practicing attorney, came to visit. What started as a supportive check and shifted when he heard the full story. "Kale, what she did constitutes assault," he said gravely, setting down his coffee cup, "especially considering Sophia's pregnant condition. Have you considered filing a police report?" The thought had crossed my mind, but hearing it validated by a legal professional made it real. Would that actually go anywhere? My parents would just say, it was an accident. Your parents' opinion does not matter to the law. You have multiple witnesses who saw what happened, and Sophia felt hands on her back. That is not startling someone. That is battery against a pregnant woman. That evening after Tyler left Sophia, and I had a difficult conversation, she sat in our bed, propped up with pillows to ease pressure on her ribs, absently rubbing her belly where our son kicked steadily. I want to file a report, she said quietly. Not for revenge, but because I am scared of what she might do next. If she was willing to do this to me, to risk our baby's life for a laugh, what else might she do? The next morning we filed a police report. Officer Daniels, a veteran officer with adult children of her own, took the statement with appropriate gravity, noting the medical records and collecting contact information for witnesses from the baby shower. We will be investigating this as a potential case of reckless endangerment and assault, she explained. Given the pregnant victim status, the DA might take special interest. The investigation had barely begun when my phone exploded with angry messages. My mother called first, her voice shrill with indignation. How could you do this to your sister? Filing charges for a misunderstanding. She made a mistake. Cale, but to get the police involved. We raised you better than this. Before I could respond, my father took the phone. You need to withdraw that complaint immediately. Do you understand what this could do to Amanda's future? To her job prospects over a prank. A prank that put my wife in the hospital and could have killed our son, I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. And no, I will not be withdrawing anything. Then you leave us no choice, he said coldly. If you persist with this vindictive action, you can consider yourself cut off. No inheritance, no involvement in the family business, nothing. Is that what you want? To throw away your family over this? The ultimatum hung in the air between us. For a moment, I was that little boy again, desperate for my parents' approval. Then I thought of Sophia, of our son, of the family I was building that deserved protection. If protecting my wife and child means losing my inheritance, then I guess I will be poor, I answered before hanging up. The family split into factions after that. My Uncle James, my father's younger brother, who had always been the family black sheep himself, reached out in support. A few cousins sent messages of encouragement, but most relatives fell in line behind my parents, some even contacting witnesses from the party to suggest they might have misinterpreted what they saw. Amanda's call came late that night, her voice alternating between tears and anger. You are ruining my life over nothing. I could lose my job if this becomes public. I could have a criminal record. Is that what you want for your little sister? What did you want for my child when you pushed his mother down the stairs? I countered. God, you are so dramatic, she spat. It was a joke that went wrong. No one was supposed to get hurt. But they did get hurt, Amanda. And you laughed. You stood there and laughed while Sophia was crumpled at the bottom of the stairs. Her true colors emerged then. She has taken everything from me since she entered your life. You used to be fun before her. Now you are just another boring suburban dad in waiting. Maybe this will teach her not to be so precious about everything. I ended the call feeling oddly calm. The mask had finally dropped completely. The investigation continued over the following weeks. We learned that my parents had hired an expensive criminal defense attorney for Amanda, who advised her to give a statement painting Sophia as clumsy and hormonal, prone to exaggeration. More disturbingly, we discovered they had been contacting party guests, pressuring them to alter their accounts of what happened. My mother even started telling family friends that Sophia had a history of attention-seeking behavior and had thrown herself down the stairs to gain sympathy. This particular lie reached me through Sophia's colleague, who had heard it from a mutual acquaintance and was rightfully appalled. The final confrontation came when I went to my parents' home to collect some childhood mementos before Sophia gave birth. I wanted our son to have the handmade baby blanket my grandmother had made for me, something I had stored in my old bedroom closet. I found my parents and Amanda having coffee in the kitchen, looking for all the world like a normal, loving family. I just came for some of my things, I explained, heading toward the stairs. If you go through with the court date next week, do not bother coming back, My father called after me. "You will be dead to us, Cale." I paused 1 foot on the bottom stair. "You know what happened. You know she pushed Sophia deliberately. How can you defend that?" "Family protects family," my mother stated firmly. "Something you have clearly forgotten." "I am protecting my family," I responded. "My wife and my son." As I left with the blanket and a few photos, Amanda stood in the doorway, a subtle smirk playing across her face. "Give my regards to Sophia," she said sweetly. "Tell her to watch her step." In that moment, I knew I would never bring my son into this house, never expose him to the toxic dynamics that I had normalized for too long. Sometimes cutting off the diseased branch is the only way to save the tree. The legal proceedings unfolded during Sophia's final weeks of pregnancy, adding stress we desperately tried to minimize for the baby's sake. The district attorney decided to pursue charges of reckless endangerment and assault against Amanda, taking the case seriously after reviewing the medical records and witness statements. Amanda pleaded not guilty, maintaining it was just a prank defense. Her expensive lawyer, funded by my parents, painted her as a misunderstood young woman who had made a simple error in judgment. In contrast, they characterized Sophia and me as vindictive, using an unfortunate accident to drive a wedge in the family. The courtroom became a battleground of narratives. Medical professionals testified about the serious risks Sophia and our unborn child had faced from the fall, including potential placental abruption, preterm labor, and birth complications. The obstetrician emphasized that falls during pregnancy are one of the leading causes of fetal injury and maternal complications. Perhaps most damning was the testimony from 3 separate witnesses who had clear views of the staircase during the incident. Julia, Sophia's colleague, stated unequivocally, "I saw Amanda place both hands on Sophia's back and push forward. It was deliberate and forceful." And then she laughed while Sophia was lying injured at the bottom of the stairs. Throughout the proceedings, Amanda maintained a tearful, remorseful facade in the courtroom. However, her true attitude emerged on her social media accounts, where she posted veiled complaints about family drama and people who cannot take jokes. One particularly disturbing post, quickly deleted but screenshotted by a concerned friend, read, "Some people will do anything for attention, even if it means throwing their family under the bus. Number eye roll, number drama queen." The most challenging aspect was seeing my parents in the courtroom each day, sitting stoically behind Amanda, occasionally glaring in our direction, as if we were the villains in this story. Not once did they ask about Sophia's health or the baby's condition, despite their impending grandchild being just weeks from birth. After 2 grueling days of testimony, the judge delivered the verdict guilty on both counts. Amanda was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, and mandatory counseling for anger management. Additionally, she was ordered to pay restitution for Sophia's medical expenses not covered by insurance. The expression on Amanda's face as the verdict was read revealed everything her tears had tried to hide: raw anger, not remorse. My parents rushed to console her while we quietly left the courtroom with a mixture of relief and sadness. That evening, as we sat in our living room processing the day's events, Sophia received a series of text messages from Amanda. They ranged from accusatory hope, "You are happy now that you have ruined my life," to vaguely threatening karma comes for everyone eventually. The final message chilled us both. "Enjoy your broken family. Who knows, maybe the kid will turn out just like his aunt." After consulting with our attorney, we filed for a restraining order the next day, which was granted given the threatening nature of the messages and the recent conviction. This legal protection provided a buffer that allowed us to focus on the imminent arrival of our son. Nathan James Johnson arrived 2 weeks later, a healthy 8 pounds 4 ounces, despite the trauma his mother had endured. Holding him in my arms for the first time, I made a silent promise that he would never experience the toxic family dynamics I had grown up with. His safety and well-being would always come first without exception. Recovery and adjustment came in phases. With Amanda legally barred from contacting us and my parents choosing to honor their threat of cutting us off, we found ourselves creating new traditions and support systems. Sophia's parents, who lived in Michigan, temporarily moved closer to help with the baby. Friends stepped up in countless ways, dropping off meals, checking in regularly, and providing the community we had lost when my family chose Amanda over us. 3 months after Nathan's birth, we made the difficult decision to sell our house. Too many painful memories lingered there, and the staircase where Sophia had fallen became a source of anxiety for both of us. We found a single-story ranch-style home in a family-friendly neighborhood 30 miles away with excellent schools and a fresh start. One unexpected development came 6 months after the incident, when my Uncle James reached out to reconnect. Having distanced himself from my parents years ago due to similar enabling patterns with Amanda, he understood our situation better than most. Your father was always the golden child, and he created the same dynamic with his daughter, he explained over dinner at our new home. I watched it happen and said nothing for too long. I will not make that mistake with you and your family. Uncle James became a surrogate grandfather to Nathan, showing up for milestones and building the kind of healthy family relationship I had always craved. Through him, I learned more about generational patterns in our family and gained perspective on how my parents had become the people they were. Around Nathan's first birthday, my parents made their first attempt at reconciliation, sending a card and gifts to our new address, which they had obtained through extended family. The card contained no apology, only an invitation to put the past behind us for the sake of family. The gifts remained unopened, returned with a simple note: "We cannot move forward without acknowledgement of what happened and genuine change." This boundary setting became our strength. Where once I might have capitulated to preserve family harmony at any cost, I now recognize that true family is built on mutual respect, accountability, and safety. Nathan thrived in our home, filled with genuine love, rather than the conditional acceptance I had grown up with. Perhaps the most profound change was in my own self-perception. Freed from the constant need to earn my parents' approval or manage my sister's unpredictable behavior, I discovered parts of myself that had been suppressed for years. I became more confident in my parenting, more present with Sophia, and more authentic in all my relationships. By the time Nathan turned 2, showing a personality full of curiosity and joy, we had built something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal. Our home became a gathering place for friends who became family celebrations, marked not by tension but by genuine connection. The scars remained, of course. Sophia still sometimes woke from nightmares about falling. I occasionally found myself scanning crowds for my sister's face, a habit born from months of looking over our shoulder. But these moments grew fewer as time passed, and new memories overrode the painful ones. We learned that family is not defined by blood or obligation, but by who shows up, who protects you, who celebrates your joy, and stands with you in your pain. It is built daily through thousands small acts of love and respect, not maintained through tolerance of abuse or betrayal. Sometimes the hardest choice leads to the healthiest outcome. Cutting off toxic relationships, even familial ones, can be the most profound act of self-love and protection. The family you choose often proves more nurturing than the one you were born into. As I watch my son play in our backyard safe and loved, I know with certainty that breaking the cycle was worth every difficult moment. Have you ever had to make an impossible choice between your birth family and the well-being of your spouse or children? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to choose peace over toxic family relationships. Thank you for listening, and remember that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is protect your own happiness.